Central Virginia. It's our first time work together, and we have a privilege to host this event of 2023 National Vietnam War Veterans. Before we go into introducing our guests, special guests and speakers, I would like to go over first is a request from the organizer. This is a very special event, and I request everybody to respect this hall, our guests, especially the Vietnam War veterans. This is their day. And we request everyone to keep your noise level down all the way to lunch time. That way we can give the utmost respect to our speakers, our guests, and throughout the ceremony of the commemoration of war. Just a brief. This restroom here is temporarily closed. There is a man bathroom right behind this hallway, and another woman bathroom here, and then the other one in the bar. So just so you know. The program for today will have 6 parts. Part 1 is the flag, the national anthems, and moment of silence, pledge of allegiance. Part 2 will be an opening statement. Part 3 will be special speech from our guests. Part 4 will be Vietnam War commemoration pin ceremony. Part 5 will be London social, and then we will be closing after that. Right now, I would like to turn my microphone to Ms. Destiny so she can introduce our guests.
Good afternoon, everyone. My honor to be here, and I would like to introduce our special guest today, Dave Crane, Pope Chaplain of VFW 9274 Fortress, Virginia. Mayor City of Fortress, Mr. David Tarter. Longtime Senator Richard Black, one of our Vietnamese lovers. And a special guest today is Major General U.S. Army Lieutenant Plant and his wife. Captain U.S. Navy Home Cow and his wife. Victim of Communist Organization Bob William. Jessica Jones, Fairfax County Neighborhood and Community Service. Cultures and Recreation Community Connections. John Matheson, U.S. Navy, Vietnam veteran since 1969. And this is our Vietnamese community. First of all, cộng đồng người Việt vùng Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia. Ông Kevin Hiển Phạm, Chủ tịch cộng đồng người Việt vùng Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Đồng Chủ tịch cộng đồng Việt Nam vùng Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, ông Tony Bùi. Phó Chủ tịch Ngoại vụ Cộng đồng Việt Nam vùng Washington, D.C., Maryland và Virginia, ông Matthew True. Chủ tịch Cộng đồng Việt Nam, cựu Chủ tịch Cộng đồng Việt Nam vùng Washington DC, Maryland, ông Đinh Hùng Cường. Chủ tịch Cộng đồng Người Việt Quốc gia vùng Central Virginia. I'm sorry, I didn't know, but that was me. Liên hội cựu chiến sĩ Việt Nam Cộng hòa vùng Hoa Trình Đốn và phụ cận. Chiến hữu mũ đỏ Lý Thành Phi, Chủ tịch Liên hội cựu chiến sĩ Việt Nam Cộng hòa vùng Hoa Trình Đốn và phụ cận. Chiến hữu tác chiến đặc biệt Đoàn Hữu Định, nguyên Chủ tịch Liên hội cựu chiến sĩ Việt Nam Cộng hòa vùng Hoa Trình Đốn và phụ cận. This is all the guests that had visitors, and we know some of them. Some of them is maybe not on the list. Please let us know, and we will announce that later.
Mr. Dave, please come up and start our prayer.
Everybody can bow their heads, please. O sovereign Lord of the universe, who art the Lord of hosts and God of peace. Today we honor our veterans, our allies, worthy men and women, brothers and sisters from both east and west who gave their all when called upon to serve and protect our countries in Vietnam. We pray that you will bless them, Lord, for their unselfish service and the continual struggle to preserve our freedoms, our safety, and both our country's heritage for all of us. We are truly thankful for the contributions of our Vietnamese American veterans, not just as allies in a time of war, but for all they continue to contribute to our community here in Fairfax County. We are thankful for the leadership, both civilian and military, that we have been blessed with from within this community, some of whom we will hear from today, as it will strengthen us for the battles that still lay ahead. Bless them abundantly for the hardships they have faced, for the sacrifices they have made, and for their many different contributions to America's fight against tyranny and oppression. We respect them, we thank them, we honor them, we are proud of them, and we pray that you watch over these special people and bless them with peace and happiness. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Guard. Attention. Right shoulder. Arm. Forward. March.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise so that may sing the national anthem of the two countries. The United States will come first, followed by Vietnam. The minutes of silence will be followed by the pledge of allegiance. Kính thưa quý vị, xin quý vị cùng đứng lên để chúng ta bắt đầu nghi thức chào cờ hai quốc gia. Trước tiên là Hoa Kỳ, kế là Việt Nam, và theo sau là phút mặc niệm và lời tuyên thệ với quốc gia Hoa Kỳ.
Guard. Present. Up.
The national anthem of the United States of America.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
The national anthem of the Republic of Vietnam.
Này công dân ơi, quốc gia đến ngày giải phóng, đồng lòng cùng đi hy sinh tới gì than sống, vì tương lai quốc dân cùng sống pha khói tên, làm sao cho núi sông từ nay luôn vững bền, dùng cho thay phơi trên gươm dao, thủ nước lấy máu đào đem bao, nòi giống lúc biên phải cần danh uy, người công dân luôn vững bền tâm trí hùng tráng quyết chiến đấu, làm cho khắp nơi vang tiếng người nước Nam cho đến muôn đời. Công dân ơi, mau hiến thân dưới cờ, công dân ơi, mau làm cho cõi bờ thoát cơn tàn phá, vẽ vang nổi dâu xứng danh nghìn năm rồng rồng lạc hồng.
Guard. Order. Arm.
A moment of silence is observed to memorialize the American soldier who fought alongside the army and people of the Republic of Vietnam, as well as the brave men and women of the Army of Republic of Vietnam who died defending South Vietnam from the invasion of North Vietnamese communists and the International Communist Alliance. A moment of silence remembers the soldiers and people from allied nations who perishes behind the yellow flag of Vietnam, the symbol of republic, freedom, and democracy. Last but not least, a moment of silence also respectfully respects all the citizens and soldiers who have been persecuted in communist prison camps in Vietnam and regularly continue battle of freedom and democracy. Phút mặc niệm để tưởng nhớ đến các chiến sĩ Hoa Kỳ đã bên cạnh quân và dân Việt Nam Cộng Hòa, tưởng nhớ đến những đồng bào chiến sĩ nam và nữ quân nhân Việt Nam đã ngã xuống trong cuộc chiến đấu bảo vệ miền Nam Việt Nam chống lại sự xâm lược của Cộng sản Bắc Việt và khối Cộng sản thế giới. Phút mặc niệm cũng xin được tưởng nhớ đến các quân dân đến từ các quốc gia liên minh và hy sinh dưới lá cờ vàng Việt Nam, biểu tượng của nền Cộng hòa, của tự do và dân chủ. Và sau cùng, phút mặc niệm cũng xin trân trọng hướng đến tất cả những người dân, người lính đã bị bắt hại tại các trại tù của Cộng sản vì đã anh dũng nối tiếp chiến đấu cho tự do và dân chủ tại Việt Nam. Let the moment of silence begins.
Hooray.
Phút mặc niệm bắt
Rest.
đầu. of silence ended. Phút mặc niệm chấm dứt.
Guard. Attention. Port. Arm.
Please join us for the U.S. pledge allegiance. Xin cùng chúng tôi tuyên thệ lời thề trung thành với quốc gia Hoa Kỳ.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Guard. Right shoulder. Arm. About. Wait. Forward. March. Order. Up. Parade. Rest. Fall out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem ceremony now is completed. Please be seated. Nghi thức chào cờ chấm dứt. Xin kính mời quý vị an tọa. Và chúng tôi kính mời anh Brandon tiếp tục chương trình. I would like to invite Mr. Brandon to begin coordinate the next part of today's program.
Cảm ơn đẹp sĩ. Before I start my open statement, I have a short video clip would like to show to everyone. This is I call this a Vietnam War at a glance. It's documenting some significant timeline during the Vietnam War as a reminder. It will be 10 minutes long, so and after that I will come back with my open statement.
30 miles to the village of Hang My on the Co Chen River. Most Vietnamese live in a village like this one. A community of 2,000 who work the land, raise livestock, and ply their local trades. But their otherwise simple lives are complicated by disease and infection. The corpsman has set up a clinic in the playground of the local school, where patients have already gathered.
The salt and rainwater. They have improved this on the areas of ditches, so that you'll how many times about twice a day? Đây mỗi ngày đấy, hôm qua lấy một triệu lứa đó. Mẹ là rửa xong rồi thích về đây. Hôm nay cái này tôi 4 giờ uống 2 giờ. Vậy cái nào? Cái này bao nhiêu ngày một chiều? 2 every 4 hours. Poison. Yeah, did she have a bottle? Did she have a bottle of ointment? Yes.
There are no monuments to what is accomplished here. There is no glory. But in this war, the work done here has become as important as any battle.
với tiểu đoàn trưởng là thiếu tá Trần Văn Ngọc tiến lên thay thế, mở rộng phòng tiến ra đến cầu Ba Bên, giúp cho công binh tuyến luận chiến bắt được cầu phao qua sông Vĩnh Định, để cho các chiến xa M48 đầu tiên của thiết đoàn 20 tiến vào phòng thủ các vùng lãnh thổ mà trước đó tiểu đoàn 1 đã chiếm được. Bắc Việt chắc chắn đã đón được mục tiêu của cuộc tấn công này của người Việt Nam Cộng hòa là nhắm vào việc tái chiếm Quảng Trị, nên họ đã chống cự rất mãnh liệt. Với những cuộc pháo kích liên tục bằng đại pháo 122 và 130 ly cũng như hỏa tiễn, gây thương vong rất nặng nề cho các tiểu đoàn dù ở hướng Tây. Trong trận Tăng Lê Phước Môn, tất cả 4 đại đội trưởng của tiểu đoàn 9 nhảy dù đều bị thương, với đại úy Ngu, đại đội trưởng của đại đội 94 bị tử thương sau nhiều trận trực chiến với quân Bắc Việt.
Tháng 3 1975, trước thực tế tiềm lực quân sự suy yếu, đạn dược chỉ còn đủ dùng trong 30 ngày, Tổng thống Việt Nam Cộng hòa Nguyễn Văn Thiệu quyết định tái phối trí lực lượng. Tuy vậy, quyết định triệt thoái khỏi cao nguyên trung phần, tức quân khu 2, và cách thức mà các tư lệnh chiến trường thực hiện nó là một sai lầm lịch sử. Sự hỗn loạn dẫn tới việc mất luôn cả khu vực quân khu 1 ở phía Bắc Việt Nam Cộng hòa, Huế rồi Đà Nẵng thất thủ, và sự sụp đổ dây chuyền kéo dài tới quê hương của Tổng thống Thiệu là Phan Giang. Trước áp lực từ nhiều phía, ngày 2
hãy bình tĩnh, ngưng nổ súng và ở đâu ở đó. Chúng tôi cũng yêu cầu anh em chiến sĩ chính phủ cách mạng lâm thời Cộng hòa miền Nam Việt Nam ngưng nổ súng, vì chúng tôi ở đây chờ gặp chính phủ cách mạng lâm thời Cộng hòa miền Nam Việt Nam để cùng nhau thảo luận về lễ bàn giao chính quyền tinh thần trật tự và tránh sự đổ máu với của đồng bào.
Sau khi Đài Phát thanh Sài Gòn lặp đi lặp lại lệnh buông súng của Tổng thống Dương Văn Minh, cũng như nhật lệnh tương tự của chuẩn tướng Nguyễn Hữu Hạnh, người được bổ nhiệm làm phụ tá cho Trung tướng Vĩnh Lộc, vị Tổng Tham mưu trưởng khoa Nam, Thiếu tướng Phạm Văn Phú, Chuẩn tướng Lê Văn Hưng, Chuẩn tướng Lê Nguyên Vĩ, Chuẩn tướng Trần Văn Hai. Vào buổi trưa ngày 30 tháng 4 năm 1975,
Tôi tin tưởng sâu xa vào sự hòa giải giữa người Việt Nam để khỏi xí phạm xương máu người Việt Nam. Vì lẽ đó, tôi yêu cầu tất cả các anh em chiến sĩ Việt Nam
chúng ta cảm thấy đau lòng khi nhìn thấy hình ảnh của những người Ukraine ngậm ngùi bỏ nước ra đi vì chiến tranh của ngày hôm nay, thì gần nửa thế kỷ trước, người Việt Nam của chúng ta cũng đã từng như
Thank you. I hope that will touch your heart and remind every one of us of what history is all about and where we're coming from. Now, before my open speech, I know this event is specifically for Vietnam War veterans, but I would like to honor all the veterans. If you're a U.S. veteran, Republic of Vietnam veteran, please stand up. Thank you for your service. You may be seated. On behalf of American people, thank you for your service. Everyone already give a big hand of applause for this great man and woman. First and foremost, once again, thank you for everyone who graciously accept our invitation, participated in the online registration process, and present to celebrate and recognize this special occasion, especially to all Vietnam War veterans and guests who now serve in United States Armed Forces. I would want to thank the Viet American community organizer, the veteran of foreign war, for allowing me to stand here today and be part of your annual celebrate event following the noble decision made in March 29 of every year the Vietnam War veterans. Today, March 25th of 2023, is the third consecutive years that Vietnamese American community have arranged this extremely special event to honor the sacrifice made by Americans and the Army of Republic of Vietnam soldiers during the Vietnam War. You have watched the 10-minute video clip, and I know it's not going to be long enough to capture the 20 years of struggling. However, I found a very special event last week which really connect this event to why we're here today. And I would like to share that with you. Ms. Tran, please come on to the stage, please. I just want to introduce you a little bit. She's the architect or the designer of all the backdrop and everything. But that's not what I try to introduce you to. Last week we have received an honor, very special honor by the Pakistani community. She had a customer come in and they order a backdrop for their event they call Word of Minority Alliance. And then on that backdrop they have every country flag on it. And she's the one who designed that. And she actually approached the organizer in a very professional manner to kind of talk to her why you put the communist flag of Vietnam onto the backdrop. And gentleman just asked because I Googled it. And she went on and explained the yellow flag with three red stripes is what we honor. And after she went through the explanation, the gentleman left. And an hour later, his boss called and asked her to change the flag, replace the communist flag with this yellow and three red stripe on that. And not just that, they actually invite us to their event and have a very special table at their event. And when we get there, we just expect a typical, fundraising event, but it's not. It's just about how the gentleman had been fighting for 15 years. His name is Salih, and he's been fighting for 50 years in Pakistan to bring the voice for the Christian community. But what moved him is her actions about the flag. And soon we know we are the first speaker of that event. And at the end of that event, we not just get the applause by the flag, and he literally folded and put it on his heart and thank you us for that and treasure that flag. One incident during that time is there's a gentleman come to me and say, we heard about the flag and I feel bad about it. And I just told him, I say, we're not looking for sympathy. We're looking for understanding. History is there for a reason. It is our duty to not just to learn, understand it, but also able to pass on to the next generations and also to the people who don't know about our culture, our belief. And if, sometimes we just assuming that we know and other people know, but some particular person won't. So this gentleman, after we go through the event and they just come and appreciate it. So once again, you are the reason that I can actually start my speech today. Thank you. Thank you. Please give a big hand. Well, that speech relate to it. How? Because freedom has a steep price tag, as you see toward the end of that video. How many people lost their life? 2 million of innocent people, 60,000 close to American soldier, and countless lives given after that, and for at least few 100,000 people from the ARBN give that guy. So freedom is not free. Namely, to all present Vietnamese American and American patriots, only those who lose is through neglect or give their life defended will cherish more than ever. The Vietnam War Veteran Recognition Act is a magnificent honor for our troops and their families. It's also an honor to the Viet American community of the subsequent generation to convey our gratitude to you and your comrades for your service and your sacrifice in the fight to preserve freedom and democracy in the South Vietnam. You shall forever be honored and never be forgotten, both American and the Army of Republic of Vietnam. And for that, I conclude my open statement, and now I have an honor to invite Mr. P. David Toller, the mayor of the city of Fort Church, to be on stage and have a few words with us.
Thank you very much. As you heard, I'm David Tarter. I'm the mayor of the city of Falls Church, and it's a great honor to be with you on this special day. As you saw in the video, 50 years ago, on March 29th, 1973, the last American troops were withdrawn from Vietnam. This day is now commemorated as Vietnam War Veterans Day. We recognize and thank our Vietnam veterans from America and from Vietnam as well. You have made tremendous sacrifices for freedom. For the American part, over 3 million served in theater. More than 58,000 were killed and more than 300,000 were wounded. We honor your service. Our Vietnamese comrades fought shoulder to shoulder with American forces. I can see many of you are here today. You suffered even higher casualties. Many came here after the war with little to nothing on your backs. And through hard work, you made a great success in this country and have lived the American dream. We have a number of Vietnamese entrepreneurs in Falls Church City at the Eden Center. And we're very proud of their accomplishments, and they're an integral part of our community. And we treasure and honor their culture. Our veterans continue to serve our community through organizations like the VFW that provide charity, education, and advocacy. We also need our veterans and the men and women of the armed forces more than ever. The world is still a very dangerous place. The threats to this country and the world are real and continue. Look at Ukraine, Russia, North Korea, terrorism throughout the world. To all of our veterans, we have a simple yet sincere message. Thank you. Thank you for serving in and with the greatest military in the world. And thank you for your steadfast dedication to freedom. Thank you very much.
Now may I have an honor to invite Miss Nguyễn Thị Bé Bảy, Chairwoman of Republic of Vietnam Armed Forces, Women in Military Service Veteran Organization. Please come on stage.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, friends, and my beloved Vietnamese. Thank you to the Vietnamese American organization for having me at this event. From the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank all of you, the Vietnam War veterans who fought alongside us to protect our freedom. After the U.S. Allied withdrew from Vietnam in 1973, exactly 50 years ago, following the fall of Saigon in 1975. We were then welcomed here. Since then, America became our homeland, and we enjoyed the freedom. In addition, my children had opportunity to serve America. My daughter is a veteran after 20 years in U.S. Air Force with 2 service tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and retired with 100% disability. And my son now is a lieutenant police officer in Fairfax County. Ladies and gentlemen, someone once said, if there is only one word to describe a military veteran, it would be sacrifice. President Ronald Reagan said, some people live an entire lifetime and wonder if they have ever made the difference in the world. A veteran doesn't have that problem. Chuck Gregg said, the veterans of our military services have put their life on the line to protect the freedom that we enjoy. They have dedicated their life to their country and deserve to be recognized for their commitment. And last but not least, President Harry Truman said, our debt to the heroic men and valiant women in the service of our country can be never repaid. They have earned our undying gratitude. Americans will never forget their sacrifices. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to reiterate these profound words to express my gratitude to more than the 58,000 Americans who sacrificed their life to protect the freedom of the Vietnamese people. We will never forget their sacrifices, now and forever. Thank you. God bless all of you, and God bless America. And we would like to say some words.
When you see through the slideshow, that very much our life. My dad, veteran. Myself, veteran. My wife, veteran. And also my daughter, a veteran. And my little boy is a 22 in Fairfax Police Department. But this is a good deal. I share with you remarkable in my life. After my daughter 20 years in service, and last year, now she retired 5 years from the U.S. Air Force. Last year, and after that, she's still working for the Defense Department. And last year, she got very, very big award from Defense Department. She invent the air security system for the nation. That's what she got the gala event in October in Detroit. And months later, she entered the contest for Miss Veteran of America. And you look at here, she wear the banner, Miss Veteran of America, and then she hold the boot. That meaning she's a veteran after 20 years service. And one thing, okay, we paid the price back in Vietnam, even now, for 41 years, when she retired. She got 100% disability. And my son, 22 years in service now, and hopefully, next 2 more years, I do have a little boy, a veteran. Again, my family in 3 generations in a veteran, we very honored to present it, to proud. Thank you, Mom, for your service. And thank you, my daughter, for service. And we're so proud, the Vietnamese lady, okay? We honor and we thank you even now, my daughter's service as an American veteran. Thank you. Oh, one more thing, I forgot, Mom, I forgot it. Last year, when my daughter became the second Latin Miss the American veteran, my wife, I believe she's here. She got the award, very big award. She is the best veteran mother of the year 2022. Thank you.
Cảm ơn chú. Yeah. Wow, what a family, military. Thank you, sir. I'm not sure about when you show the picture. You say, "I think she's here." We'll make it slide that easy. Okay. May I have the honor to invite the next speaker, Senator Richard Black, came on stage. I had a coincidence to meet him at one of the events, and his record has moved me, and I make a commitment that I have to have him be here during this special event. Please welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Am I coming through here?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to tell you, I'm very honored, first of all, to be here with all of the veterans of Vietnam, and particularly with those who fought with the armed forces of the Republic of Vietnam. Because those of us, like myself, the American veterans have received lots of accolades, but the people of South Vietnam who fought so gallantly, so courageously against such tremendous odds, they are the ones who I think of so much in a celebration like this. One of the saddest days of my life was in 1975 when Saigon fell. And I had such great emotional attachment to the nation of Vietnam and to the people, to the individuals with whom I had served and I had fought. I was a Marine pilot. I flew 269 combat missions, came back with bullet holes in the plane some of the times. And then I was aboard carrier off the coast of the Philippines when they announced at the ready room, they said, we need to send a pilot for ground combat with 1st Marine Division. They're under heavy attack, and we need a forward air controller who can control the airstrikes, the medical evacuations, and so forth. I said, I'll go. And so off I went. I had been stationed in Chu Lai, which is a great air base there. That was where most of the Marine aircraft flew out. And while I was there, I used to be I had special permission to go into the village. And there I had met a young girl. Her name was An Mai. And we were just friends. She was a shopkeeper. Her brother was a lieutenant in the South Vietnamese Army. And we never hugged, we never kissed, we never did anything like this. We just simply were friends. And I didn't think of it as anything but just a friendly relationship. But I told her when I got my orders, I said, I'm being sent to Da Nang, near Da Nang. I'm going into battle up there. And she was very sad, and for the first time, she walked with me through the village, through the jungle there, and we came to the barbed wire surrounding Chu Lai Air Base. And as we walked, it's the only time we held hands, and I held her hand. And she looked down at the ground, and then at long last she said, "If you go, I die." This was the girl that I thought of when Saigon fell, because what she said wasn't just in my heart I die, but literally I die. And I had nightmares that went on over and over of what would happen to her. Now, I don't know, I never saw her again. The last time when she said that, I walked through the barbed wire, I turned, I didn't know what to say. I just waved goodbye. That's the last time I ever saw her. But this was played out by so many Americans who served with the Vietnamese and who had such a tremendous heart for them. So I have never lost my loyalty to the Republic of Vietnam. I pulled out an old note when I was preparing for today, and it was dated May the 3rd of 2005. That was not the first time that I had addressed groups about the Vietnam War, but it was interesting because it was, my speech was entitled "Tyranny Triumphed in Vietnam," and indeed it did. And I mentioned when I started, I said Hanoi has just celebrated the 30th anniversary of communist victory over South Vietnam. Hanoi had celebrated by releasing 7,000 political prisoners from concentration camps. You think about that. Here it was, 30 years after the war ended, and the North Vietnamese were releasing 7,000 people as a token of what fine and wonderful people they were. They kept 7,000 people for 30 years for crimes of doing nothing, for crimes of belief, for crimes of desiring freedom and liberty. Those were their crimes. And those were only the ones who were released, because many people are sitting in concentration camps today. And the only thing that's diminishing their numbers is that they're just dying off. You know, in 1975, when the communist tanks burst through Saigon, terror swept the city. Mothers facing imminent death thrust babies into the hands of complete strangers, hoping that their families might survive the coming bloodbath. Not that the mother would survive, not that the father or the uncles or the aunts, they would all die, but simply hoping that a drop of blood represented by that child thrust into the hands of a stranger would go off and live. And that child, and there are many such children in America today. They don't know the history of their parents. They don't know anything of their valor. They don't know their names. They simply have no background. But they lived when the parents died. GIs and diplomats evacuated Vietnam, clutching those infants. And sadly, there were a half-plane load of orphans who died when one plane crashed during a very daring takeoff attempt. Across Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, a bloody retribution followed. 3.5 million Vietnamese were executed on the spot at the end of the war. Now, anti-war activists in the United States and in Europe claimed that the communist victory would usher in a people's paradise. They used that term. You would hear it, people's paradise, once the communists come. But when communism arrived, 1 million Vietnamese risked death by fleeing that imagined people's paradise, and thousands of them who went out into the vastness of the South China Sea were raped, tortured by pirates. Many drowned at sea. And yet that exodus from communism continued for an entire generation. Imagine that. Concentration camps, which were euphemistically called re-education camps, became Vietnam's growth industry after the fall of Saigon. Re-education resulted in the death of 1 of every 3 inmates in the camps. We will never know the enormity of Indochina's post-war killing. It was certainly huge. In Cambodia alone, 3 million people were executed. That's out of a population of 8 million people. 3 million were slaughtered. Some were slaughtered in Cambodia for the crime of wearing eyeglasses. I had a friend, Van Lindogen. Her brother had been a lieutenant in the South Vietnamese Army. He was simply rounded up along with a lot of other soldiers, and they were just executed. There was no crime, there was just execution. A group of senior South Vietnamese officials gathered together with me to rehash the history and do a condensed history of the Vietnam War. And one of them informed me that after the fall of Saigon. In his village, they rounded up the priest. There was a single Catholic priest in the village. They brought him to the center square, and they forced all of the people to come together in the center square, and then they burned him alive. This was the people's paradise that Ho Chi Minh brought to the South. The terror that was unleashed by communism never really ended, and at the time that I wrote this, at least in 2005, concentration camps were still flourishing, and among the Hmong of the Vietnam Central Highlands, those tribes in the highlands were still suffering death for refusing to renounce their Christian faith. Good news is that back at home, Americans welcomed Vietnamese refugees. For those of us who had fought with them, who had served with them, who were honored by their friendship, loved them, genuinely. So Americans welcome Vietnamese refugees, and many of you here understand very well because you know the families who took you in. And today, there are no citizens who are more grateful, more patriotic, more studious, more hardworking than Vietnamese immigrants. They are the finest of all the immigrants that we have received. I dare to say that, hoping not to offend anyone else, but you are the best of all of what we have brought into America. I want to give a shout out to one of my Democrat colleagues. I'm a Republican. I'm sort of I think you may know that. I often spoke of Vietnam on the floor of the House, on the floor of the Senate. And one time, there was a very nice Democrat delegate. His name was Bob Hall. Mm-hmm. And some of you may remember Bob Hall.
Yes.
And I don't know whether he's still around today. He is. Oh, good.
He still serves on the chamber. He's still active.
Yeah. Well, Bob Hall had a lot of Vietnamese constituents, and he introduced a bill, and the bill would entitle Vietnamese to always post the gold flag with the 3 red stripes wherever they went. In any public building, they could put that up, and they were not required to display the communist flag. Now, Bob put that in. It had little hope of passing because it had attracted fierce resistance from Secretary of State Colin Powell. He sent down word. He said that bill must not pass, and he said this is going to interfere with our foreign relations with the North. Well, I call them the North. They would call them Vietnam. I call them the North because they're not Vietnam. They're the North. So when Bob got up, he presented his bill. There was no one else to jump up and to speak for it. And I had expected there would be some of his Democrat colleagues who would chime in, but there was not. And so I stood up on the Republican side, and I spoke about my experiences flying Vietnamese troops into battle, landing them with tracer bullets flying in every direction, with men leaping off the helicopter, some of them being cut down immediately, and others charging into the fray. I talked of recovering them later. They're dead, they're wounded, bringing them out. I talked about when I was with the 1st Marine Regiment and how we would go off into battle, and we would go only in the dark of the moon at nighttime. And we would slip down and we would infiltrate behind the enemy lines. and we had popular forces. These were the militia of Vietnam. These were just country people who were lightly armed, but they were on our side. And we would get them, and we would go into battle, and I would literally be holding hands. I was a Marine lieutenant at the time, and I would hold hands with a Vietnamese behind me, a Vietnamese in front of me, and then Marines, Vietnamese, and we went into battle. And they were courageous. They were fearless. I recall one battle where we were fighting back and forth across a rice paddy, and I was walking the line, inspecting, making sure that everyone was doing what he should do. And as I walked by, a Vietnamese soldier was hit by a bullet in the thigh, fell back. Other times I had been in battle with them once where I had a Viet Cong come up behind me, and I whirled around behind me, and someone had shouted a warning, and I shot and killed the man who was about to come behind me. But I saw them in battle, and I saw their sacrifice. Now, you've heard that in 1973 the Americans left, and that's correct. Saigon did not fall until 1975. During that time, the Vietnamese took control of their own destiny, and they fought. They defeated the North. They defeated them in the Easter Offensive. They soundly defeated them. And they would have defeated them continuously, except that we had a political change in the country. President Nixon was overthrown. And when he was, we had a very liberal Congress at that time, and they immediately convened and they cut off all ammunition, fuel, food, money, every kind of supply to South Vietnam to deliberately cause their destruction. That is why there is not a free Vietnam today. It is not because the Vietnamese soldier did not fight, that he did not win on the field of battle. It was because he was undermined and he was prevented, deliberately prevented from prevailing. So I try to remind people, particularly Vietnamese people, of their heritage, because they should know that they did not lose that war because they failed to fight. They lost because they were prevented. So I come here today and I honor those of you who served, who wore the uniform of the Republic of Vietnam. God bless you.
Well, wow. I thought I know a lot, but I guess I'm not. Thank you, sir. You have opened my mind to learn more about some fact I never heard of. And that is why it's very important to continue this as a tradition where the Vietnam War veteran generation, unfortunately, soon will fade out, and those memory, experience, and history will have to be last forever. I appreciate it. One more time, thank you so much for your speech. Now, I have my honor to invite Captain Đoàn Hữu Định. Come on stage, please. He has been with us past two events, and we never stop inviting him onto the stage, for sure. Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having me here. The Vietnam War may end in 1975, but the people who came back from that part of history from the Vietnam War, just like Senator Dick Black, would just let you know a lot of good things. As a veteran, as a politician, he never abandoned the Republic of Vietnam people. In 2014, I think he gathered the Vietnamese American community, not only in this area, but also from California and other parts of the country, to come and share the heritage of how well we did fight. He let us know that April 30th is the Republic of Vietnam Day in Virginia. That's really good. Thank you, Senator, for all that. (1975) is the end of the hostility of the Vietnam War. 1973, the last U.S. troop left Vietnam. But all the veterans who come back from that war, whenever one got back home, every one of them had to bear how the community left them, never gave them any welcome at all. But us, I'm proud is to see the next generation of Vietnamese American who come here continue to produce and fight for freedom. Just like the next generation of Vietnamese American who continue to be in service for the U.S. government. I want to salute today Major General Dr. Efra and U.S. Navy Captain Calhoun, who continue to fight for freedom for not only this country, but around the world. And us, we are all here today. I think that the day should come also for the Republic of Vietnam Armed Force veteran to be recognized also. As Senator Black said, we were undermined and forced not to win. Thank you. And I hope every one of us will continue to support the Vietnamese American Committee in the fight for the freedom of Vietnam. Under the communists, there's no freedom, no liberty. Thank you so much.
Next speaker, I would like to invite Mr. John Matthew. He represents VFW, Vietnam War veterans, to come on and have a few words with us. Please.
I'm representing the post-1974. We're so happy that you chose to have your ceremony with us, and we're happy to participate. I joined the Navy in 1968. I was a cryptographic technician. I spent 6 months aboard an aircraft carrier in the Gulf of Tonkin, and I flew out of Da Nang 6 months as aircrew surveillance off the coast of North Vietnam. When I graduated from high school,
6 of 10 boys in my class of 250 joined the military. All told, 10% of my generation served in the military. 3.5 million overall servicemen from America served in Southeast Asia. Interestingly, in World War II, 70% of the American personnel in the military were draftees. In Vietnam, that was 30%. 70% of the Americans serving in Southeast Asia were volunteers. At a high school reunion years ago, I talked to a classmate of mine. When he learned I was from Washington, D.C., he said, I've always wanted to come to Washington, D.C. and see the Vietnam Memorial. And I invited him to come, stay with me. He said, I can't do it. It's too emotional. He was a helicopter pilot. He said when he went to school, there were 100 pilots in his class, and after training was done, with all the testing, he was 10th from the bottom of his class. The entire class went to Vietnam, and after his one-year tour, he was 10th from the top. He lost 80 classmates. You've seen the pictures of warfare in the jungle. I always felt fortunate that I didn't participate in that, but nowhere is safe in a war zone. The year I was in Vietnam, the squadron I flew with lost 50 officers, so it's not safe anywhere. So overall, you've heard about the 58,000 Americans that died. We lost more than that after the war from PTSD. And we've heard the horrendous figures of the hundreds of thousands of Republic of South Vietnam military personnel that died, and the millions of civilians that died. We saw reference to the people escaping on the boats. The number I saw was that they estimate 300,000 civilians died fleeing communist tyranny at sea. There's a growing consensus that the war that we all fought in Vietnam actually did help contain communism from spreading further into Southeast Asia. I know that's a little consolation to those of you who've lost your country, but I think you can agree when we look at the conduct of the communist countries, the rogue states of North Korea, China, and Russia, that it was a good fight that we tried. I'm sorry you lost your country to the communists, but I'm happy that you made it to America. You've brought your culture of hard work, perseverance, self-sacrifice, and dedication, and you've passed it on to a new generation of Vietnamese Americans. America is a better place for having you here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next guest, may I have my honors to invite U.S. Major General Lập Thế Châu Flores. Before I turn the microphone over to you, sir, once again, thank you for accepting my invitation, even though you don't know who I am. It just, okay. Here you go.
You know, definitely do everything for our veterans.
Yeah.
Senator Blackser, thank you so much for that very powerful speech. Your comrades, all the veterans that serve in my motherland, Republic of Vietnam, inspired many of us on this uniform. I remember when I first joined the military service. By the way, PTSD is real. I had a very difficult time for the first 10 to 15 years. As an infantry officer, spent many nights marching, night maneuver on the 5 rounds, mortar rounds, brought back very, very bad memories. Specifically in the Tet Offensive, as someone who was born in '62, so I still remember very, very clearly as the internal displaced person, what we call IDP today. So once again, thank you very much for that very, very inspiring message. Right? And many of our fellow Vietnamese Americans, which is, by the way, thousands, that want to serve this country simply to give back a debt that we owe to this country infinitely larger than we can ever repay. But we are trying. So 36 years, hopefully another years, and then I will step aside, hopefully, and let the younger generation to take over. So Brandon told me I only have a couple minutes, so I will try to do my very best to keep with the schedule here. But first, let me say congratulations to all of our U.S. Vietnam War veterans for our country here dedicate a separate day just to honor your service. I think that's a very big deal. Because I tried to, before today, I did just a quick Google research, and I said, is that a World War II Veterans Day? No. Is there a Korean War Veterans Day? No. But there's a Vietnam War Veterans Day, just to dedicate to honor you for your service, for your sacrifice. To me, it's a testimony, and it's an indication also to show that our country, the United States, is trying her very best to make it right. She didn't do it right when you all came home. So she's trying to do it right by you and by your family for serving your country. Fought alongside us. So for that we are extremely grateful. To us who were born in Vietnam, our Vietnam veterans, you were the guardians of peace, the bulwark of liberty, and the beacon of light for many of us who were in such a dark place at that time, yearning to be free. Your service and your sacrifice was noble and was just. To us, it was very clear. Simply put it, it's good versus evil. Sadly, that fight is still going on today. Look at Ukraine. Look at the challenges that we are facing right now with the communist China. As President Reagan once said, and I paraphrase that, I just take a very short portion of it. Freedom is never more than a generation away from extinction. So event like this is very important, not only to recognize and pay tribute to our veterans, but also is an education for our younger generations. thing that keep me and many of my colleagues and senior leaders at the Pentagons kept us up at night is that today there were only 9% of the younger generation in this country that have the propensity to serve. Just think about that. Only 9%. America, as we all know, is our adopted country now. Such a powerful, generous country, our way of life. We need to protect, we need to preserve, and we definitely need to educate the younger generation to continue the service. America today, I'm pretty sure very, very proud and recognize the service and the sacrifice of our Vietnam veterans. Took a long time, right? Way overdue, hard-fought recognition, but hey, better late than never, right? So once again, congratulations on that. I'm also very, very grateful for the honor to be here to share this message. As I say, a couple of minutes, I know I'm kind of out of it. And really my whole purpose here is to pay my tribute to all the Vietnam veterans like Senator Black here. Such a powerful message, remind us why we serve, pay off a debt to America that give all of us a second chance in life. So for that, again, with my deepest respect and admiration to all the Vietnam veterans, and welcome home. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next special guest, I would like to invite Captain Hong Cao on stage. I have quite a few events being around with him. Even though he's retired as Navy captain, but he have tried to continue to serve American people. And today, I have an honor to have him come on board and have a few words with us. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Captain flag, if you don't mind, please.
Xin chào mấy bác, cô chú, anh chị. Cảm ơn anh Brandon và chị Mimi đã tổ chức ngày bữa nay để nhớ mấy người quân đội Mỹ và Việt đã hy sinh cho mình để ở bên xứ Mỹ bữa nay. Je crois pas qu'il y a des soldats français, mais ils ont aussi sacrifié au Vietnam. Alors merci pour les soldats français. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. And Brendan and Mimi, thank you so much for organizing this day. I'm the son of two countries. I was born in Vietnam and raised in the heritage of the Vietnamese people. My parents remind me every day of the sacrifices that their parents and their parents before them made for us. You know, my mom was, at a very young age, her father was taken away from her in the middle of the night. He was a magistrate in the city of Hue, and the Viet Minh, the predecessors to the Viet Cong, took him away. She was the last person to see him alive. And he said, "Don't worry, I'll be back soon." And that was the last thing he ever said to her. My father, at the age of 13, his dad was taken away by the Viet Cong also, because he was an engineer and he was forced into labor to maintain all the generators for the mobile hospitals for Viet Cong. And so my father and his three younger siblings were left alone with their mom. His older brother was taken away by the French to run ammunition up to the Laotian border, and he was killed in a mudslide. So at the age of 13, my father became the man of the house, and he had to drop out of school and take care of his family. And that's what sacrifice was. But he was able to go to school afterwards and went to Cornell University and then came back to Vietnam as the Deputy Minister of Agriculture. In 1975, the last words my father heard from his own dad was, "You're a coward," because we left hours before the fall of Saigon. But he knew what the sacrifice had to be. And we came here. We came to this beautiful country that took us in and gave us an opportunity. Opportunities that we could never possibly pay back. And that's why I spent 30 years wearing this uniform and fought in places like Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia to pay back for all the sacrifices that my parents went through and what the American people went through to bring us here. You know, everybody says America is the land of opportunity. I think of it more like a forge. Because if you take a $5 piece of metal and you put it in a fire and heat it up and you can work it, you know, with a little work you can turn it into about $10 to $15 worth of parts for shoes. But with a little more work, with a little hotter fire and a little more perseverance, you can turn about $300 worth of needles. But even more work and a lot more, you know, a lot harder fire, you can actually turn it to $300,000 worth of springs for a finely tuned watch. It's whatever you put into that it, you know, you can turn into a piece that's worth something. And that's what America is. It's this forge that allows you to be whatever you want to be. Think of what it takes to make a sword. You take a piece of metal, you put it in fire, and you beat out all the impurities. That's called forging. And then afterwards, you temper it in oil or water to take out the impurities. So I think of America as this great forge that turns a piece of metal into a sword. Let us be that sword. Let us, the Vietnamese American people, be that sword. Because in the Bible, the Apostle Paul, when he talks about the armor of God, he talks about the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, but also the sword of the Spirit, which cuts through the truth and the lies, right? It cuts through the lies that the people say about communism, socialism. Let us be that sword, that two-edged sword that's so powerful, it cuts through all the lies that they say about Marxism and socialism and communism. Because we know what sacrifice is. We've been forged through sacrifice, and we've been tempered in the love of two nations, the Vietnam and the American nation, that which we served so proudly all these years. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't allow for communism to succeed in this country. We know what it's done to our people. And we have to remind the American people how hard communism is to a great society and what it does to all of our people as a common sacrifice that we must go through. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for all the Vietnam veterans. I hope that my sacrifice in this world has paid back for what you've done in Vietnam. Thank you so much for all the mothers and fathers that has brought us here. Thank you for all the family that sacrificed for us. Thank you for this great nation. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America.
He forgot what I'm asking him to say something about the flag.
I'm sorry.
I'm just joking. One thing that today, if you notice, there is a table over to the right of the room right now between the American flags and the Republic of Vietnam flag. If you notice, the flag to the left, American flag to the left, was brought here by Mr. Phước. And this flag had a history behind it. It was turned over from the Quezon Bottle flag. And we have been proud to carry that flag anywhere that we go to the event, and as a symbol of continuation to fight for America. Mr. Captain Hong, if you continue your goal to serve our nation, as long as the government is by the people, for the people, you got 16 million veterans behind you to support you. Next event, I would like to have an honor to invite all the Vietnam War veterans to come on to the stage and receive the Vietnam Veteran Lapel pin. You can find the information about the pin in this book, but I'm not going to say much. I just only use the part where I say message. A grateful nation thanks and honors you. It embossed in the back, closest to the heart of the wearer. The official name of commemoration is included by each veteran that this is a national initiative. Dòng chữ khắc ở mặt sau của huy hiệu Tổ quốc ghi ơn và vinh danh quý vị. Mục đích khắc dòng chữ này ở mặt sau của huy hiệu là vì khi đeo lên ngực trái của dòng chữ ấy sẽ được áp sát vào trái tim của những người nhận, với hy vọng những lời cảm tạ ấy được đi vào lòng. Please allow me to invite Miss Destiny to come back on. Your break is over. She and I will take turn to have an honor to do the name call. And please apologize to a few guests that are present here today that not on our registration list. That if your name is not calling, but if you are the Vietnam War veteran living through that hard time, please come on board onto state so we can have our honors to give our appreciation toward your service. Please allow me to invite Major General Lập Thế came on board, Captain Hồng Cao, and Mr. Day, please. This gentleman will represent the Vietnamese American community to have an honor to lay the pin on your chest. Now I'm turning my phone over to you.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you very much for our veterans that be here. And I watched the whole program. And could you believe I'm a child that born right on April 30, 1975. And I'm fortunate to be here today. Thank you for your service. Kính thưa quý vị và các chú bác, cựu phu nhân quân lực Việt Nam Cộng Hòa, chúng tôi xin được nói vài lời tiếng Việt về cái pin veteran này. Originally là cái pin này làm cho các cựu phu nhân Hoa Kỳ, vì lúc đó là cựu phu nhân quân lực Việt Nam Cộng Hòa chưa có ở Mỹ. Và thời gian gần đây thì với những cái service cũng như tướng Thế hay là Captain Hùng Cao ở đây, người Mỹ đã acknowledge và recognize các chú bác quân lực Việt Nam Cộng Hòa là đồng minh của Hoa Kỳ. Và trong khoảng chừng 2 năm trở lại đây thì những cái pin này cũng được gắn trên ngực áo của các chú bác tại Virginia War Memorial cũng như ở nhiều nơi trên nước Mỹ. Hôm nay chúng con rất là hãnh diện và tự hào về các chú bác. Và chúng con xin được mời các chú bác lên đây. Đây là thế hệ hậu duệ được tiếp bước con đường binh nghiệp của các chú bác. Con nghĩ rằng cũng sẽ rất là hãnh diện cài lên ngực áo chú bác cái pin này. Trước tiên xin được mời ông Đoàn Hữu Định. Và để cho cái việc này được nhanh chóng thì chúng tôi sẽ đọc theo mẫu thứ tự ABC. Xin mời ông Bùi Cửu Tiên.
Please welcome Mr. William Brucado.
Ông Bùi Dương Liêm.
Ông Bùi Mạnh Hùng.
Ông Bùi Văn Thông.
Mr. Daryl Smith.
Ông Đinh Hùng Cường.
Ông Đoàn Hữu Định.
Ông Hà Văn Sang.
Mr. Gene Valier.
Mr. Jerry Gibbon.
Mr. John Carpenter.
Mr. John Lemke.
Mr. Charles Carolus.
Mr. Lee Vincente.
Mr. Charles Midkiff.
Mr. Richard McMurray.
Ông Nguyễn Đinh Sinh.
Ông Nguyễn Mậu Trinh.
Ông Nguyễn Minh Toàn.
Ông Nguyễn Tiến.
Mời bà Lộc Germany. Bà Nguyễn Thị Bé Bảy.
Ông Nguyễn Thomas.
Ông Nguyễn Tony.
Ông Nguyễn Trung Thành.
Ông Phó Hòa.
Ông Quách Triều.
Mr. Richard Black.
Mr. Robert Smith.
Mr. Stan Garnett.
Ông Trần Chiêu Quang.
Ông Trần Từ Thanh.
Ông Travis Hafner.
Ông Trần Văn Thư Bút Danh Chu Linh.
Ông Võ Thứ Thanh.
Và chúng tôi xin trân trọng kính mời các cựu quân nhân đang hiện diện trong buổi lễ tri ân ngày hôm nay xin vui lòng bước lên khán đài. And we respect. And once you receive the pin, please stand by. We will have to take a pictures of everyone together with the staff and on the and